everybody. I am Jamice Holley, and welcome to the Art of Becoming podcast. That's right. I am Jamice Holley, a coach, speaker, trainer, and licensed therapist and owner of the Art of Becoming. So, welcome to my podcast. And for those who are watching the live stream, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm so excited to be here. It's finally here. Woohoo! Oh my gosh, y'all, there has been like so much anticipation surrounding this date. There has been so many conversations, maybe not none that you have been privy to, but conversations that have definitely been taking place of people keeping me accountable, of people making sure that I get everything necessary for like tools and resources to get this done. Tears, crying, laughing, pushing. I mean, you name it, it has been done for this particular moment. And I really just want to pause to celebrate myself for allowing myself to fully step into this and just thank God. Like, and then let me just say, you gonna get everything God with Jamice, okay? If you do not know me and you are being introduced to me for the first time, let me just let you know I'm a whole mood, okay? I'm a whole hoot. And I definitely just love people. And I definitely want to just come on here and serve in the way that God has called me to. So, welcome to the Art of Becoming. Welcome to the Art of Becoming podcast. And welcome to just getting to know yourself a little bit more as you see it modeled by me and getting to know myself a little bit more and just helping you in any way that God has called me to. Mainly the podcast, we're going to be talking about all things faith related, everything business related, everything with therapy, relationships, and self love. Like that is a culmination of Jamice to the T. Okay. That's me everywhere, every shape possible, every form you just want to call it. That's what you're going to get. But we're also going to be confronting some things, right? There are some hard conversations to have, but they can be courageous conversations. There are some things that we typically avoid and we typically end up avoiding ourselves because most of the time it's too painful. And so I just want to celebrate. Okay, it's finally here. Okay, my best friends that's been keeping me accountable, my people, my squad. Let me just say thank you. Let me tell thank you to my husband, who y'all gonna hear a lot about. And just I'm gonna give a caveat now. There is full transparency here. Okay, there's full transparency. But pray for me because I want nobody, especially my husband, getting mad. But no, he's giving me full rights, okay? And if so, we're gonna have him come on here and comment so y'all know ain't nothing going on like that. But it's just a really good feeling to be here. I'm so excited, you guys. I'm like, how do you just come down and go straight into an episode without really just like celebrating this? Like, hey, this is a moment, okay? Enjoy every moment. Let's take a moment to enjoy that. But I'm excited. I'm truly excited to be here, and I'm gonna jump right in. But before we get to the episode, let me just give one brief announcement. And I talked about this of whether or not I was going to have announcements or not, but I'm just gonna have one because I feel like why not? Okay, why not just go for it? So just so you all know, beginning on December 15th at 1:00 p.m., I am hosting a free lunch and learn regarding daring to dream. For many of you who do know me, I am a John Maxwell coach, speaker, and trainer certified. And what we do is we like to just make sure we are growing personally, right? The one way to begin changing your world is to first start changing yourself, right? The one way to start making changes and growing personally is to start improving the one person who you can control. And the person you can control is yourself. And so for me, the one thing that I really like to hone in on the most is about daring to dream. John Maxwell has this book called Put Your Dream to the Test. And Put Your Dream to the Test is one of the best books out here where you are literally challenging yourself to dream. I often say that a dream should feed you, right? It should propel you forward. It should energize you. It should make you be enthusiastic, and it should give you some drive, right? And so if a dream does not feed you, then perhaps we need to go back to the drawing board and just dig around a little bit more and figure out, okay, what is that thing that feeds you? And most of the time it's in there, but sometimes people are just too afraid to either own it, stake claim to it, or they feel like it might be too big, or they feel like if you were like me, it's not big enough, right? And so we end up discounting our dreams and not really following through on the things that we really want to work on or things that we just have in our heart to do. So if that's you, join me on December the 15th at 1 o'clock. I am having the Lunch and Learn. It's virtual. And so you can register on Eventbrite, or you can register through Instagram or one of my Facebook on my public figure page. The link should be out there. Okay, so got the announcement done. Y'all, this is like the first episode. Okay, my job, y'all might get this a couple times, okay? Y'all might get this a few times. Please know, just go with me here, okay? You'll learn to love it. It'll be okay. There'll be some grace extended to me, I hope. But I'm really truly excited about this. It's a wonderful opportunity, and I mean, I kid you, people have literally like been like, Jamice, what are you doing? Okay. And as you get to know me through this episode, you'll understand why they say that. So, and and I used to vlog, or vlog, and I don't even know if I'm saying it right or if it's wrong, okay? I used to be a vlogger. I used to blog. I used to do radio in Baltimore, and I used to do internet radio. So this is nothing new to me, right? But it's just been a long time since I've done it. It's been since 2017, really, like since 2017. So we'll get to the timeline a little further down the line, but I hope to just be an encouragement to you. I hope to inspire you. I hope to, when people say they get around me, they say that I'm like a purpose pusher, because I end up I end up helping people. I say help, okay? I end up helping people, walk and activate the gifts that God has put inside of them to explore their callings, their assignments, and their purposes, and really, put those gifts into activation, right? So I like to call me like a gift activator, purpose activator, and really just help people get to the things that God has called them to do, right? And the main thing is to align with their inner yes. So that is me, right? That is someone who I like to say, I'm someone that likes to push you into your purpose so you can align with your inner yes. And most of the time, it's in there. We just oftentimes want to say no, okay? It's no secret though, okay? I might be whispering, but it's really no secret. Most of the time we want to say no, but it's really a yes, right? It's a yes. So today's episode is about aligning with your inner yes, but it's about the art of becoming Jamice. I want to introduce myself to you guys to show you and to so you can hear, sometimes when the journey to becoming is not beautiful. Right? When the journey to becoming is really hard, it's you don't understand where you're going, what you're doing. If you're anything like me, one of my favorite scriptures is Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, right? Trust in the Lord with all your hearts. I used to forget that. And lean not into your own understanding, but in all your ways, acknowledge him and he will direct your paths, right? He'll make your path straight. And so that has been a favorite scripture of mine, because who I have been, the type of person that I have been, if God did not tell me how, right? If God didn't tell me when and what, like if I didn't have the details, I struggled to say yes. And I honestly will tell you that was the majority of my journey. I was a resistor and still sometimes can be, but we have a little quicker there's a quicker resistance than it used to be before. And it was very much of a wrestling match with God, but I've learned that that's in my name, right? Where the root word of um to wrestle with God comes from. It's in my name. But it's been a journey with God to really trust and with all of my heart, even when the details are not there. And so this episode is really about getting to a point where I can introduce myself, but also getting to a point of just letting you know if you are on a journey to discovery and you have no idea where you're going to end up, how it's going to happen, that I'm here to tell you it's okay, right? Just let it happen and allow it to come into formation as if it's like the art of becoming. The art of becoming is what I like to call the backwards way of transformation, right? Like no one really knows the future, okay? We don't know the future. We don't know how things are going to pan out, like as far as, believers. Like we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, right? However, becoming it's not pretty all the time. And most of the time it takes pain. It takes uh triumph, right? It takes being able to be an overcomer. It takes being able to really wrestle and struggle with things and struggle well, right? And be able to really take a look back and say, man, like the journey may not have been beautiful. However, it got me to where I am today, which is what I like to call the art of becoming. And so God gave me this about 2014, the art of becoming, because I was journaling one day and I told God, I was like, God, I really feel like I am backing into like a parking spot, right? Like I don't know if you ever you ever been like if you're a driver and you're driving and you back into a parking spot, like you often have to look to the left and to the right and then make sure that you're in. Now, excuse me, this was before the camera that they put in the cars. Now we're in 2021, right? It's before they put the camera so that you could just slide on in the back. But no, when I was learning to drive and I had to back into a parking spot, I had to keep making sure going to my left and to my right, like, okay, am I in there? Do I have enough space? I'm not over the line. I'm not, right? Very much pacing your way into the parking spot. And then once you're in there, it's like, okay, it's a perfect fit. That is what I like to feel like I call the art of becoming is a backwards transformation to my calling, to my assignments, to my purpose, right? It has been a uncomfortable guiding, but not knowing with full details of how I'm going to get in this space. What's it going to be like when I get in it? Is it going to fit me, right? Am I going to be a perfect or a good fit for it, right? Like it was very much that. And so I like to say that if we're going to go through this episode, it's very much about like starting a childhood, right? Like y'all, I was the awkward tall girl growing up, and I wish I had some pictures right here to show y'all. But I was the awkward tall girl and I was a little chunky, right? But I didn't really gain weight till I was like in my teens. And my gain weight story was because my grandmama cooked for me, y'all. Okay. My grandma cooked an entire summer and she cooked biscuits, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and grandma cooked for us. Like we used to always go down to my grandmother's for the summer. And I left like I think a size 8. I came back a size 14 because all I did was eat for a whole summer. But I was just that awkward, chunky girl who was tall too and very much insecure and uncomfortable in who she was, right? I had no idea of who I was. Let's literally be true. Like there was a struggle with identity, right? There was an issue that I had with who I was, who is Jamice. Like I had no idea of who she is or who she was. And so little Jamice, I know who she is now, but imagine as a child and you're feeling awkward, insecure, you're not confident, and you're struggling with your identity, man, there's a lot of things there that you would say that I struggle to love myself. And so, again, just want to say this is a plug for full transparency. And maybe you can relate. right? Maybe you can relate to a time when you just felt awkward, when you didn't feel at your best, when you didn't know really who you were, when you had to sit with questions of discomfort to really see about like, man, who am I? Right? I often, as a therapist, I sit with my clients and I ask them, like, who are you? And sometimes people, even as adults, struggle to know who they are. We struggle sometimes to define who we are because we think we have to be something that someone else has put on us rather than accepting who we are. And so that leads me to like my first point, right? Acceptance is key. Acceptance is key to the art of becoming because when we get a little further into this, acceptance is like drilled all the way through my calling and me getting to a point of welcoming who I am, right? Is because acceptance is key. I grew up thinking that I had to be just like my sister. Now, y'all, first of all, I love my sister. I have two older sisters. I love my let's shout out to Tony, shout out to Linda, shout out to Drake, so that y'all can get names so that that'll be more clear. But I love my middle sister, Dree, because I looked up to her so much, right? Like she was doing the thing. She went to college. She got a full-time job when she came out of college. And I mean, she was just doing it. And I had no idea what I wanted to do in my life, but I followed her so much that I thought I just needed to do what she do, right? And to take this back a little bit further, I really, as a child, because I remember I mentioned I didn't really dream, I remember being in first grade and my first grade teacher asking me, like, Jamice, what do you want to be when you grow up? Like, we had to write a letter and say what we wanted to be when we grow up. My letter was I was going to be married at 28, kids by 30, and a full-time job by 32. Is there something? Do you see what's wrong with that picture? Let me tell you, there was no dream. Okay, there was just the complete bare minimum. It was just I thought what was good enough was really just to get married, have a job, and have a family. That's all I wanted. It wasn't I mean, I didn't go into nothing else. That was it. And so taking that mindset to a now 18 to 20 21-year old and is struggling to figure out what she's going to do with her life. I go to college and what do? I did the same exact thing that my sister did. I went to college, I majored in accounting and struggled. The entire time I'm struggling. And I think it was more so because it wasn't what I wanted, right? It was not what I wanted to do at all, but it was the only thing that I had like modeled in my life to really look to see like this is the best thing for you, Janice. And so I went through a college. I did not graduate. I ended up my senior year, I got into a really bad car accident and I ended up having needing surgery. I had blood clots. Like I was in really bad shape. And so I just never went back. And mind you, I left that day from Towson. I went to Towson, shout out. I went to Towson, left that day, registered for a senior year, and that was the day I got into the car accident and just never went back. And so what I did was I pursued a career in accounting. However, in pursuing the degree in accounting, I didn't want to finish it. Like I was working full time and trying to go to school to finish that degree. Y'all, I was struggling. I was hurt, okay? Because I just could not put my best foot forward for nothing. I just couldn't do it. And it wasn't until about 23, and this is where my world changed. Y'all, I got saved, okay? Now, this was nothing. This was a miracle. I got saved because I had like a Paul in Damascus moment, right? Okay, let me tell you, I was the girl that would go hang out with her friends, go clubbing, go partying, and then go to church, right? Like all in the one swell swoop, right? Like one swell swoop. That was me. I'm at the club. I'm at church at 7:00 in the morning because I just left the club at like 5, 6 o'clock with breakfast and friends. So, I mean, just tragic. Okay. Just tragic. Been there, done that. Got a t-shirt to wear it. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. But I got saved at 23 and it was so transformative for me because everything that I had or that I was doing, I completely switched. Like I stopped going to the clubs. I stopped drinking and all of the things that, and it wasn't as if like I had a it was just like literally of a flip of a switch. The light came on and the Lord was the lover of my life and all I wanted to do was serve God. And I was that girl in the club where I didn't need a drink. I didn't need a drink to get hype. Like I would come in there already hype on 10 and be ready to just drop it low, right? Like that was me. But it was like as much as I was that person in the club, it was like I was 10 times that in the church. It was like I was a go hard praiser. Like they used to call my praise demonstrative. And I was like, because y'all just don't know what the Lord has done for me. Like the Lord has saved me. Okay. The Lord then kept me. I had a fire like none other when I got saved. But all the while when I got saved, it was as if I was just a completely different person. My passion for God was just overwhelming. All I wanted to do was serve the Lord. And so I stayed at the job that I was working at. I was working for Discovery Communications. Yes, the Discovery Channel that was in the headquarters was in Silver Spring. And so I did that for 7 years. And you guys, it was so painful. But I didn't know anything else, right? I honestly did not know that there was anything else out there better for me. And it was almost as if I was settling, but you would know maybe like the last 2 years, I used to drive to work crying because I was like, Lord, this cannot be what you have for me, right? Like this is not my portion. This cannot be what you have. This can't be it. And it wasn't. However, I'm so glad that God literally showed me. And so much happened from 23 on when I got saved because after about 4 years after that, I met my husband. That's a whole journey in itself. We'll talk about that on relationships. But I met my husband and we got married at 28. And I got married when he was 29. I got married at 28. Sorry, the details don't matter. But it was when I was getting married, it was almost as if the same time I was getting married is the same time I was getting the call to preach. And I was scared out of my mind, you guys. Like, I'm really trying to figure out, like, what in the world are you doing, God? What are you doing? I don't understand. And for the person that needs understanding in order to move was struggling. And it got so heavy. God was actually calling me to quit my job, go back to school, get my degree. And I was like, oh my gosh, like you have got to be kidding me. I've been a person who has worked since I was 14 years old. I'm now 29. And you mean to tell me I need to quit my full-time job and depend on my husband? Where they do that at? Right? Like that was not something that was even common or known in my little brain coming from a single parent household, right? And knowing that my mother has worked her, tireless self, fingers to the bone, like providing for me and my sister. Where they do that at? However, it was a step of faith, right? Like I had to take a step of faith to even trust God with my husband, to trust God to provide, right? Like and newly married, trying to figure and navigate this space. Like what in the world does this look like? But it took about maybe 6 months and I quit my job. I remember the grace had ran out. The grace was gone for the job. I remember they were having an issue because I took off because my husband was having surgery. That in itself was an issue. So I was like, nope, it's definitely time to go. I had already received getting accepted into the school that I applied to. I went to Bible college. Like it was like a whole thing that how God had moved in my life. But to stay on topic here, the one thing that I know was I was just afraid to take the step, right? At each juncture of my life to becoming who I am, it has often come with taking a step of faith. And it wasn't just taking one step, right? It was continuous steps of faith. And I'm often having to remind myself of that now. Like, don't forget where you've come from, Jamice, right? That back in 2012, God called you to quit your job. That's when I quit my job originally. 2013, you get your bachelor's degree. What they say was going to take 2 years actually took 1 year, right? Got my bachelor's degree in biblical studies. In 2013, you had to leave your home. I had to leave my home church. And I was devastated. I did not want to leave, right? 2014, that's when the detour comes and God says, hey, go to counseling and get your master's degree in counseling. I avoided it like the plague. And that's where I took the detour and started doing radio. But all the while I was doing radio, God was like, go and get your counseling degree. 2015, I get ordained as a minister at the new church that I built my new family with. And it was like me and my husband got ordained together. And it was like, who would have thought? Like, these are steps of faith that I've had to take to really trust God in accepting that this was the thing that he had for my life. When, as a child at 5 or 6, all I want to do is just get married, have kids, and live a normal life. And then God still is not done, right? At 2017, that's when God brought seminary into my life. From seminary, then to 2020, I get to 2020 and I graduate seminary and I finally think like, yes, I can rest. My academic turmoil is over. I am done with this academic journey. And then God says, hey, start your private practice. And then we're here now in 2021. And God is like, I still have so much more for you to do. You're only just beginning. And so the journey to becoming Jamice, it has taken continuous steps of faith. I've had to rely on God so much through prayer. I've had to rely on God so much through blind faith. I've had to get in the boat and out the boat. I've had to try to walk on water and then see the winds and the waves like Peter and start sinking. There have been continuous steps of faith that I've had to take to become Jamice, who I am today, and yet still becoming, because I've still yet have not arrived, right? But every step of the way, I've still had to take a level of faith and a step of faith. And the other things to that is like, okay, in order to take these steps of faith, like, you have to be willing to take a risk. Like, the art of becoming, you're not going to just be on the sideline. No, like, you have to be willing to take a risk. You have to be willing to be one who is willing to be of great courage. When you are afraid to do it, you do it anyway. Like, you do it afraid. And oftentimes I am like little baby in the corner, okay? Fearful, afraid. And God has constantly, and Holy Spirit has constantly had to coach me through the fear, right? And one of my friends, my great dear friends from seminary, and I've, had conversations about this with her about like how fear has often been a motivator for me to get things done, right? But the scripture that says, perfect love casts out fear. Let love be the motivator and the reasons why you take these risks. Let love be the motivator and the reasons why you are doing things of great courage. When you face fear in the face, fear is literally like about this small. And I've been a woman that I've had to overcome fear. I've had to overcome, and for me, like, it hasn't been like failure is the reason why I'm afraid. No, I've been one to be afraid of it succeeding. I've been one to be afraid that it actually may happen, right? That what God has been showing me, what God has been calling me to since 2012, it might actually happen. And then what's going to happen then? I'm like, oh boy, what is going to happen if it actually happens, right? Like, to be afraid of the call, to be afraid of the purpose, to be afraid of the assignment. That has been me. But I've constantly had to overcome it through taking steps of faith, to being courageous, but mainly being accepting of the things that God has consistently brought into my life. Like, he's he has brought schooling, and the academic journey alone was just a whole thing. If you are in school, God bless you, and I'm gonna pray for you, okay? But it is definitely that it's something that can, and I'm learning that has been a privilege, knowing that my ancestors did not get an opportunity to do that. And so I definitely am honored, and I count it a privilege and an honor to do that. And it was something that I really had to think about, because the other parts of becoming Jamice was I had to overcome being the first of things in my family. The first one with the call to preach, the first one ordained, the first one as an entrepreneur, the first one to get a master's degree, the first one to now have written a book, right? Like, I've had to overcome the things that are unknown to me in order to be accepting of the things that God wants to, and God has laid before me, that God has put in my path. But it's really on me to really say, yes, okay, God, I'm going to do it. Or no, God, I ain't doing it. Which is why, to the art of becoming, it's always about aligning with your inner yes. What do you need to say yes to? What is the thing about your path and your journey that you feel like you cannot say yes to it because you're afraid of it? Or you can't say yes to it because it doesn't make sense to you? Or you can't say yes to it because nobody else has done it? Or you can't say yes to it because you're going to have to work a little bit harder, right? Like, your inner yes is in there, but sometimes it's stuff that you have to dig around to really truly get to it. It's doable. Like, the things that God is calling you to, the things that you have in your heart as a dream, you can do it. You can do it. It's just most of the time we need to overcome the mental block. We need to overcome the mindset. We need to overcome generationally things that have been instilled in us, right? Like, we have to overcome, and for me, quitting was a huge thing, right? Even though I had quit my job, even though I had to leave my churches, right? Like, it was really like, it was getting so hard. I did not want to keep going. I did not want to keep having to say goodbye to things. I was grieved in my heart. The art of becoming means that there are so many things that you are going to gain and lose along the way, but you can still come out on top, right? The journey may not be beautiful. The journey may not be the best, or it may not be perfect, but it's the thing that shapes you. It's the thing that makes you. It's the thing that is masterful in its beauty, right? And when you look at art, right? Like, art is at the eye of the, or the beauty of art is at the eye of the beholder. I may be getting that wrong, but how you see what is being crafted is in the eye of the beholder. And I know that I am the apple of God's eye, and oftentimes struggle to see myself as that. But I know that in moments like this, in moments like today, God did this. Okay. Let me tell you. To be here, to have the first episode, and to really truly trust God for something that has been in my heart for so long to do, but afraid to own, afraid to take hold of, and fearful what people might say. You know what? I'm out here now. I'm doing it now. How do you feel like you are becoming? What has your journey been like in becoming? Has it been painful? Has it been hard? Have you had to walk away from people? Have you had to walk away from things? Have people left you because of your journey? We'll talk about that when we get to like the episode on relationships, right? Like, what have you had to say goodbye to? What journey of self-discovery have you come to when it's like, okay, this has been my life. If you look back over the last 9, 10 years of your life, who are you? How do you define you? I like to define myself as one who's free, one who's transparent, one who's loving, one who is like genuine, um, carefree, and I like to just know one of my coach will say I'm a powerhouse, right? But who are you? Who are you? That is all that I have for you all today. I hope that you have been introduced to me on a whole nother level, a whole nother skill. And wanting to go on the journey of discovery. I welcome you to the journey of discovery. I hope that you have enjoyed a little bit of who I am, a little bit. And I wanted to keep it short. I don't want to go too long, but just giving you a little bit of insight into who I am, what you're going to be getting on here. And let's just go on the journey together, right? Like, it doesn't have to be hard, doesn't have to be too difficult, but let's just go on the journey of discovery together and see who God is calling you and who you will be through your art of becoming. I love you all. Stay tuned for more to come, and I will see you all next time. Stay tuned. Bye.